Hey everybody. God, sorry I was like screeching in here today. I took a nice long walk this morning and I was thinking, I don't really take a lot of notes or anything ahead of time before these trainings, but I'll usually try to take a nice long walk and just kind of go through the points that I had said that I was going to talk about. And I started in my head just kind of riffing on all of these examples, and I came back here and realized, my God, I hadn't showered, I hadn't done the notes, I hadn't gotten my phone set up. You should see the crazy setup that I have when I do these, and I just kind of came screeching in here. So I'm going to take a deep breath myself. Hi, Kevin. How are you? Wow. I'm really excited to talk about this one today. So let me take a deep breath. Shoo, shoo, shoo. Hope all of you are taking a few deep breaths during all this holiday time. And I'm really, really glad that you're enjoying all these teachings. So let me just do a quick introduction again. We've got so many new people that are watching all of the replays. If you can't be here live, that's great. Please make sure that you watch the replays and pass them on to people that you know could benefit from these teachings. So I'm Barb Beck. I've been a relationship coach for 21 years. My company is Revolutionary Love. The tagline of my company is, let's do this different. And so all of you that have joined me here have in some way said to yourselves, to me, to everybody else here, thumbs up, I'm joining. I'm willing to really look at things and start to do things different. And I'm here to help you try to do things different in an intentional way. Not just throwing something against the wall and see if it'll stick. But my work really, even though it's relationship focused, if you look at my website, by the way, if you haven't been there, to go to revolutionarylove.com, right on the homepage it says, really, the quality and depth of the relationships that we have with ourselves equal the quality and depth of the relationships that we have with others, with every other relationship that we have. So that's the work that I do. I may work with singles, who are ready to get back into dating. Hi Mary. I may work with couples who are dating and trying to decide, whether this is the one or how to flush out their requirements. I may work with married couples or people in long-term relationships who are coming up against a wall or struggling, who are wondering if they're just, falling out of love. But what I really do is that quote that I just said to you that's on my homepage. I work with people to have a better, deeper, healthier, more conscious relationship with themselves. So I'll say again what it says right on my homepage. My quote, the quality and depth of the relationship that you have with yourself is equal to the quality and depth of the relationship that you have with all of your relationships, with everyone. It makes sense, doesn't it? Give me a thumbs up if that makes sense, you guys. So that's me. Hi, everybody. That's who I am. That's what I do. And I've been doing these live streams since September, I believe, every week, Wednesday at this time, 11 Pacific, trying to get out some really good, solid relationship and life skill teachings to you. And anyone that you can pass them on to. Why? Because I have a hell of a lot of knowledge, a hell of a lot of expertise after 21 years of doing this, a hell of a lot of knowledge and expertise from spending all the way through my 30s screwing this up so bad, doing crazy, crazy things in relationship, because I know what you're going through and because I've changed my life and every one of my relationships, and I want to help you do that too. And there are a lot of people that cannot work with me one-on-one, that cannot let's just be honest, simply cannot afford private coaching with me. And so, yes, I do other things. I'm putting a course together, which I'm going to tell all of you about for, it'll probably be out February in 2018. I'm going to be on more speaking engagements. I'm going to be doing the Revolutionary Love Q&A out in the world. I hope you can attend. But this is such a simple way for me to get some really good, deep teachings out there. You'll never find me shooting off some fluff to you or sending out something that's just a superficial teaching. It's not what I do. You're never going to hear from me something like, the one thing you need to know, or 3 top tips, or whatever. That's just not me. I know a lot of us, sometimes it's just we want to read a quick article, we want to get a quick insight. There's nothing wrong with that. I do it all the time too. I scan things, I read things, I look at things. But my God, you guys, if we're talking about relationships, all of them, intimate ones, friendships, the ones with our family members, the ones with aging parents, the ones with our kids, the ones with our colleagues and bosses, if we're talking about relationships, going back to what I was just saying, the quality and depth of them is equal to the kind of relationship that you have with yourself. Don't you want a deeper teaching around the things that you're still confused about or need to know? Don't you want some depth around these teachings about skills and tools? And don't you want some, what do you mean by that, Barb, and how do I use that, and what does it sound like? So that's what you're always going to get from me. That's what I'm here for. I'm not going to say something like in one of mine, like, okay, it's really important that you don't be controlling with your partner. Have a good time with that. See you later. That's not me. I'm going to take you deeper with this, which is why I always say, and I'll say right now, get your journal. Hi, Maria. Get your pen. Because I'm going to tell you when I want you to write something and star something. A lot of you are actually listening to these and then doing homework around them, and I love that. So let me just say hi really quick. Hi, Erica. How are you doing? Erica's got some great live streams too, you guys. Erica M. Haynes. So check hers out. Hi, Maria. How are you doing? I saw Mary was on here before. Kevin. Okay. So get your journal. Get your pen. Open your mind. Open your heart. Let's jump in. What we're talking about today, and the reason that I've left this for the end of the year, is what do we do about actually when we come to a point where we're considering breaking agreements we've made, commitments we've made to another person, or when we've made personal promises, maybe to ourselves. Maybe we haven't even spoken them out loud, but maybe we've made personal promises to ourselves quietly that we don't share, but it absolutely influences every decision that we're making. What about when we come up against those things and we're either questioning them, or we come to a place where we are absolutely clear that we don't want to keep this agreement anymore. We don't want to honor this commitment anymore. Or we're looking at some personal promises that we've made quietly, internally to ourselves, and we're questioning it. We're going, does that make sense anymore? Did it ever make sense? That's what we're talking about here today. And so let me just say hi to a couple more people, then I'm going to keep the glasses off and we're going to jump in. Hi, Norm. How are you? Hi, Michael. I really appreciate that you guys are taking the time to be here. I'm so glad that you're here and part of this posse. Okay, so here's what I want to say before I jump in. This is a touchy subject. Even if you think you know where you land on this kind of breaking of agreements, breaking commitments, breaking personal promises, I'm telling you, you might get a little triggered when we're talking today. The reason I was almost late to this live stream was because I was taking a long walk going through this, talking to myself like I do all the time about these things, and I kind of got hooked into some things of, yeah, but, and oh my God, and that sounds bad, and I'll bet some of them are going to wonder if this is, what I really mean. So can we all agree, let's agree, pinky swear, to just be gentle with ourselves and watch when I'm talking today and you're listening, watch if we're getting a little hooked. Watch if we're getting a little triggered. Let's make a commitment. How about that? let's make a promise to ourselves right now that just for this video that we'll stay really open-minded, okay? I'm only offering you my thoughts. My thoughts are based on years and years and years of working with clients, of working with people, of going through this myself. So I've got some depth here, but always, 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 we listen to ourselves. We listen to our own guidance. We listen in the silence to our own wisdom, and we see what resonates, okay? All I'm doing is offering you some things that I think are really important to look at around this. And this is a touchy topic. A lot of people have already sent me notes ahead of time and said, oh, I'm so glad we're going to talk about this because I've had a lot of pain around this. Or I'm in a lot of pain around this, or a lot of confusion around this. Or, like I'm going to talk about here, how do I stay in integrity and live a life of integrity and be somebody who breaks agreements? So let me go through, I've written down here, let me go through what I said the 4 points are that we'd be talking about today, okay? The first one is, let's talk real quickly about what kinds of agreements and commitments and personal promises and things do we find ourselves making to ourselves or to other people? What kinds of things? Second, I'm going to talk about just what I said. If you're a person of integrity, if you like to view yourself as somebody of integrity, it's important for you. For me, as a person of integrity, it's important for me to honor my agreements and commitments. So now what? How can we be a person of integrity and actually change agreements, break commitments, or not honor personal promises we've made to ourselves anymore? That's a question. The third one I'm going to talk about is an intimate relationship, so long-term relationship or a marriage. How do you decide whether to stay and keep honoring an agreement or a commitment? And how do you decide when it's okay or that you're ready to break a commitment? How do we do that in an intimate relationship? And the last one we're going to talk about, what's the one commitment that I believe that you can, or I will even say, I'll throw the should word out there, that I really think that you can or should make that actually will simplify all of this, okay? It will simplify it. Does it make everything easy? Does it make breaking agreements and commitments and personal promises easy? No, there's lots of things in our life that are not easy when we are leading with integrity, listening to our wisdom and guidance and moving forward. But there are ways to simplify these decisions. There are ways to simplify things. And so that's what I want to talk to you about at the end. Hi, Alex. My God, Alex, it's nice to see you again and say hi. I'm glad you're here. Okay, let's jump in. So I just went through the 4 things that we're going to talk about here today. The first one, what kinds of agreements, commitments, personal promises do we have a tendency to make in our lives? Oh my God, a million of them, right? Some of the simplest ones, are we sit in a relationship and we decide to make something, an agreement with a partner. We have long conversations about things like, hey, we're pregnant, we're going to have a child, what do we want it to look like? Does somebody want us to continue to work? Does the other partner want to stay home? We throw all this around and we make some agreements. Make some agreements around, okay, you're going to keep working. I'm going to stay home for a while with the child. The agreement right now is maybe I'll do that until our child heads off to school. And we make agreements with the best of intention and all of the information that we have and all of the feelings and emotions that we have at the time. Other real common agreements or commitments I see people make are, I want to quit this job and I want to start my own business. So we make some agreements with a partner, or we work with a family member, a friend, and we say, okay, here's what I'm thinking. I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to use this amount of our savings. Are we all going to work together? Do you understand that I'm going to need to work longer hours? Will you support me? How are we going to do this? We're making agreements, right? Hopefully we're doing this with emotional maturity and actually talking through these things, not controlling another. That's the hope, is that's how we're doing it. So a lot of times those are the kinds of agreements and commitments that we're making to each other or to family members or friends. Sometimes some simple personal promises we're making are, I'm going to spend this year really making sure that I am more available to this person. I'm going to mentor this person more. I'm going to make a personal promise to myself to be somebody who is there for younger people more. I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do that by joining this organization and volunteering, making more of a time commitment to my niece or nephew, that kind of thing. Because my personal promise to myself is to be somebody who is influencing, mentoring, and making a difference in young people's lives. Maybe we're making those kinds of promises. Here's the 3 big ones that I want to touch on today, that I see that we make bigger agreements and big commitments in, okay? One is obviously an intimate relationship. We decide to get married, and we make a huge commitment. If we are religious in any way or spiritual, we may do that by actually having a formal marriage. We may be married by a minister. We may take vows. We may do whatever, any form of this. But we decide that we're actually making a big commitment, and a lot of those commitments still are marriage commitments that say, till death do us part, or some form of that. I will be here and we will work through everything, come hell or high water, no matter what, good or bad. I'm here, and we will not divorce, and we are going to stay married. Lots of those commitments being made. We have a lot of agreements that are made. Here's the other category, intimate relationship. The other one that I was thinking about today, aging parents. I see this all the time. These agreements and commitments that we're making with aging parents, committing to them things like, yes, I promise, I agree with you, I'm making a commitment to you that we will never, ever move you out of your family home. Yes, I promise, I agree, don't worry. I know you want to be independent till your dying day, and we'll never take the car away from you, I promise. Gosh. Have any of you had to make some of those, or felt that you needed to make some of those commitments? I have had 3 parents in my life, step parents, natural parents, they're all gone. Everybody has passed. Without going into a long story, thank God for a mother who never asked us to make that kind of a, commitment to her about staying in a home. She had Parkinson's. It was bad. It got worse very quickly. And she said to us always, I never want to be a burden to you. I never want to make those requests of you. And she knew right away when she needed to get into a really good care center, and ended up very quickly in what they call the skilled unit, the highest level of care. She could not do anything for herself. She could still speak. She was still coherent. Most of the time, if she wasn't sliding into hallucinations, she was clear and could speak, even with lots of stuttering and things. But otherwise, there was nothing that she could do to take care of herself, and she needed that level of care. My grandfather, on the other hand, was constantly trying to make my mom and everyone promise that he would never, never be moved out of his family home. And it became just horrible. There was no way that he could take care of himself. He was falling. He was not eating. It was horrible. And so I'm sure some of you have fallen into this where we are, making agreements or commitments to aging family members that we then later look at and go, why the heck did I ever say that I would agree to never taking a car away, never moving them out of a family home, never putting them in a beautiful center, instead of saying, we will stay in the present moment and make the best decision that we can with what's going on and what you need, and I will help. If you need to have additional care, I will help you find the best care possible. And the third area that I see that we come up against and really beat our heads against the wall around making agreements, commitments, and personal promises are intimate relationship, aging parents, and addictions in our families. This is a really, really tough one. So again, I know this is a touchy topic. I'm just asking everybody to take a deep breath. Let's take one right now. I have addiction all through my family. All through my family. And I have many amazing family members that have been sober for years now, doing deep, hard work of staying sober, staying addiction-free. I have other members and friends that are dear to my heart who are losing that battle. And what I find, I know, thumbs up and hearts if you guys are going through this, what I find is that we can make some agreements and commitments, and especially with addiction, personal promises to ourselves around these family members or dear friends that we maybe really shouldn't have made. Maybe things like, somebody who's deep in an addiction, deep in alcoholism, saying to them, I will be here for you no matter what. I will be by your side no matter what. I will always, no matter what you've done, I will help get you out of this no matter what. And what it may look like is allowing somebody to get in a car who's drunk because, you've committed and promised that you're not going to embarrass them. You're not going to call the police. Maybe they're getting DUIs and you're like, don't worry. I've made a promise to you that I'll always be there, and I don't want you to have to go through any of that. So, I'll go quickly, always bail you out. You guys, those aren't good, healthy agreements or commitments. That's codependent behavior. Can you see the difference? Maybe we make a personal promise to ourselves that I used to have a problem, this was horrible for me. I was embarrassed and shamed. I never want that person to feel that too, so I'll make a promise that I'll always cover for them too. Boy, do we have to look hard at what is really a good, healthy agreement and commitment or personal promise around these three areas, long-term relationship, marriage, aging parents, things that we're saying to them, and people in our lives who we love deeply, but where we have a tendency to make an agreement because they're asking us to swear that we'll do something, make a commitment that they're asking us to, out of guilt and shame and embarrassment, that we really shouldn't be making. There's a big difference between telling somebody who is deep in addiction, I will love you no matter what. I have an unconditional love for you that will not change regardless of anything you do, any behaviors play out, any choices that you make. My love for you will not change. My behavior with you or the boundaries that are set or what I may or may not do or my agreements with you or commitments to you may change. Absolutely, they may change depending on what's going on. But what's healthy is to be able to just simply say, but my love for you, who I know you to be, that beautiful soul that you are, my love for you, and who I see you and know you to be does not change. So those are some of the agreements and commitments and personal promises that we make to people. And to me, this morning when I was walking, those really came up as the three key areas that I think we get into trouble around all the time, and then get into confusion around when we end up saying, damn, I don't think I want to keep this agreement or this commitment. Now what? Now what? Which leads me to the next one where I asked, if we're a person of integrity, then does that go together? Can we be a person of integrity who wants to be somebody who honors our agreements and commitments that we've made and break agreements and commitments and personal promise that we've made? Can we be? What do you guys think? Give me a heart or a thumbs up or something, or maybe I'll put on my glasses here for a minute. Do you believe that you can be a person of integrity and honor your personal standards and the things that you say to another person? Do you believe that? And still be a person who changes an agreement, asks for a new agreement, or actually breaks a big commitment that you made to somebody? I just got a ton of thumbs up there. Thanks, Ashley. Ashley said, hey, Barb, this is perfect for us. So could any of you actually, I know you gave me thumbs up, could you give me a yes or a no or a question mark, like I'm confused, I don't know? Do you think that you can break a commitment or ask for a change in agreement or change a personal promise that you made to yourself and still be a person of integrity? I just got another thumbs up. Okay. I absolutely do believe this, you guys. And boy, did I struggle with this one when I was younger. No, let me correct that. Boy, did I struggle with when I was younger. And boy, did I continue to struggle with this. And you know what? I think if we are good, solid, conscious, reflective people, I think sometimes we definitely get confused around it again. Maria said, I think I can, I think I can. Good for you, Maria. Kat? Yeah, love this. Thank you. I love you too, Kat. Okay. I'm going to answer that, and I'm going to loop in this third one about an intimate relationship. You know, how do we stay or decide whether to actually break, change, unpromise a commitment in a marriage? So let me put these together now, okay? Do I believe that we can be a person of integrity and actually say some form of, I changed my mind? Ugh, doesn't that just sound like it makes me just go, oh no, why do I do that? Yes, I do believe that. And here's why. So stay with me on this. Okay, this is where I'm saying, grab your journals, grab your pens, everybody. I want you sitting quietly in meditation later with this, because I want you to ask yourselves this question of, can I be a person of integrity? A person with a clear honor code, personal standards that I hold myself to, where I don't just take the easy way out. I don't say, oh, you know what, today it doesn't feel good to me, so I'm just going to leave this marriage. You know what? It doesn't feel the same as it did the first year. I'm out of here. Wow, I know I told my parents that, you know, I wouldn't move them out of the house, but wow, it's kind of getting to be a pain in the ass to visit them a lot, and I don't want to do this, so I'm just going to... Can we not be that person who is basically self-centered and be somebody who honors ourselves first, always, and then makes the best decisions that we can make from that place? Yes. Okay, so get out your journal, your pen. What I want you to do is follow this. Again, we're always talking about our thinking and our mindsets, right? Here's how this goes. What's happening in most cases when we are coming up against a big agreement or a really big commitment that we've made to somebody, that we are now saying, I need to break this commitment. One of two things is usually going on. Back here, way back here, we may have been making agreements and commitments from a place of all kinds of things. Immaturity, low levels of emotional maturity, just thinking this sounded like a good thing at the time. What Louise Hay says, which I believe, we're doing the best we can at that moment with the understanding and knowledge that we have at that moment. Absolutely. You know, we do what we do with the best knowledge and understanding we have. In other words, we may have been making these agreements and commitments without a lot of really good, clear intention, or without a lot of emotional maturity. That's just the case. It was certainly the case for me in my 30s, 20s, 30s, maybe a little bit of my 40s, okay? So sometimes we're making these big, sweeping decisions like marriage, like whatever, with some pretty high levels of emotional immaturity. It sounded good at the time. Or without a lot of clear intention. Okay, that's one thing. Sometimes we're making them with a lot of clear intention, okay levels of maturity, and we go in, and with the best of intention, man, we are there, and we're working it, and we're giving it our all, a marriage, a business, a friendship, a relationship with a parent. We're doing the best with our kids. We're doing the best with aging parents. And it's not just about us. Life throws us some curveballs. A partner ends up with an addiction and isn't or can't do anything about it, and it's changing everything in the marriage. A parent ends up getting a diagnosis or something going on that's changing in a big agreement or a big commitment or a big personal decision that you had made to yourself about, I'm promising myself that I'm going to be the person who brings my parent into my home as they start to age and has them live with me, because I want to be that kind of daughter. I want to be that kind of son. And suddenly, everything has changed. That's just simply when you sit over and over and listen for guidance and look at what's going on, it's simply not the healthiest, best decision for that aging parent or for you anymore. And you've got to go back in and go, I got to change this commitment to you. What's really, really best is for you to have a social life and for you to have a higher level of care than what I can provide for you in our home. I need to change this commitment. That's what happens a lot of times. It starts over here, these one or two things. Either we've made agreements and commitments in a fairly unconscious, emotionally immature way, and now we've grown or changed, or things are just simply playing out, getting more and more dysfunctional, and we're waking up going, this is not the life I want or what I wanted. I was hoping things would change. I went in thinking there was a lot of potential. Oh, Lord, don't get me started on that word. And now I'm in a place a few years down the road or many years down the road where I think I need to break this commitment and get out. Or we've made agreements and commitments and personal promises, and life has changed. Things have changed. There are new things in the mix that we need to absolutely consider and change that. That is certainly the case when I was asking, can we be somebody who can break a commitment? Okay, now let me talk for a minute. Please, everybody, deep breaths here. This is not a religious talk. This is not any of that. I'm not telling you what you need to do. I'm only going to share my experience, and I have permission to share an experience, no names, but with a close friend of mine, her experience. And I had one of you get a hold of me and say this was hard. Here's where this can become excruciating. For any of you, when we're talking about a marriage, who have come to the place where you are doing your work and doing your work. We don't ever just, you guys, like I said, we don't just end a marriage. It's not okay to live a life of integrity and say that when the marriage doesn't feel good to you anymore, or it becomes hard, or there are opportunities to go deeper and learn and grow, that we just say, wow, this marriage doesn't feel like it's fun every day anymore, or wow, I'll just end the marriage and get a divorce. That's not what we do. That's not okay. That's not living a life of integrity. You have made a promise to this person that you are going to stay with them through thick and thin and work things out. Okay, I'm only talking about when you've done all of that work. That's why people come to me and hire me, so that we can work together and really go through the steps necessary if someone is saying, I don't know whether to stay or go. I don't know if this is too good to leave or too bad to stay. That work first is personal work. It's not just a bail. So what I'm talking about here is if you've done all that work. If you haven't, you need to call me and we need to get you as a private client with me so we can do some work this year. I don't want you to have any regrets. You may go through grief and all kinds of things, but I don't want you deciding to divorce and have regrets, wondering if you did everything you could, if you gave it your all, if you showed up well, if you showed up growing your levels of emotional maturity. Okay, I'm getting off track. If you've done all that and you're in this place, here's the one that can mess people up, and I mean mess them up in their head. If you have some form of religious belief that says that divorce is not okay, not allowed, where you get shamed or guilt-tripped over being someone who would choose divorce, this one is going to mess with you and keep you stuck and keep you in a loop that is going to be soul-crushing. I watched my friend work, and so many clients, but I'm just saying this was personal for me, because I watched a dear, dear friend go through this and do her work and get to the point over and over where she would finally land in this place with just a deep, deep knowing that for her to thrive in life, for her to be able to live a meaningful, rich, beautiful life, she was going to need to have to break this commitment and get out of this marriage. There was verbal abuse. There was all kinds of things, and I won't say more, but we all know when we've reached the place where we've tried everything and we've tried to engage that partner and we've tried to see if they could get on board and we've tried to model a change in behavior to have a positive influence and change the dynamic. And she would get to this place over and over. And then all of the sudden, this deep personal promise that she'd made to herself, her words, that she would never go through another divorce. She had been divorced once. This was non-negotiable. She made a personal promise to herself, I will never be divorced again, ever. Along with the guilt and the shame that she felt and that was put on her from the church. You cannot divorce. They shamed her, they guilt-tripped her. The combination of those two things shut that door completely closed for her. She would get there and she would know it on a soul level, and then that door would just slam shut because of those two things. Because of a belief she had in a religion that said this is not an option for you, period, and combined it with a personal promise she made to herself, I will never be divorced again, period. So guess what she was left with? That was it. There was no choice. You know, when we come up against a place in our life where we feel that we are not free to be at choice, I don't know. I think I can remember at one time in my life in my late 20s feeling that way. And it almost brought on a depression. When we feel that we have our freedom to choose, and our freedom to choose what is in our best interest, what will help us thrive in life, what will help us have a meaningful, deep, rich life. When we feel that that's been taken away from us, I don't even have words for it. It's horrible. And so I don't know what to tell you here. I'm not telling you, so leave that church or whatever, but I am going to tell you this. You've got to ask yourself, what's it worth to me to keep these doors closed, to follow someone else's rules and say, okay, I'm going to have to shove all that over to the side, not listen to my own deepest wisdom and guidance from whatever you want to call it, from my God, from my higher power, from the universe, from spirit, and let someone else tell me that they know better. A church, a guru, a family member, a best friend, I don't care who it is. In the end, my personal belief is that you need to do your work, your own personal work, and listen deeply and for a long time to your own heart and soul and listen to your guidance. If you follow that, I believe that you will always be fine. Okay? Okay, so that brings me to this last one. What is the one commitment that you can or should, eeks, I use that word, make, that will simplify everything? And I just kind of touched on it right there. In my heart of hearts, I believe that the one commitment that you can make and should make that will simplify everything is a commitment to yourself. The commitment that sounds something like, here's what I commit to. I commit to taking personal responsibility for myself, my life, and how I'm showing up in the world. I commit to looking daily at my own levels of integrity and making sure that I am listening to my own guidance, my own wisdom, and showing up as the best man, the best woman that I can be today with all of the knowledge and wisdom that I have. I commit to being a loving presence in this world, and that means first, loving myself and listening to myself. I commit to leading with kindness. I commit to honoring myself first. So if I had to boil it down to something, I think the only commitment that's worth making, I mean full-blown, I swear commitment, is one that I've made to myself and that I hope that all of you will make as we move into this ending of this year and moving into a beautiful new year. And that is one where you say, I commit to honoring and loving myself and growing myself in such a way that it has a positive influence and helps guide me and direct me in every single choice and decision that I make every day. Do you see the difference then? When you make that commitment first to yourself, a commitment to honor yourself first, then a lot of these agreements and commitments and promises that we're making, we actually wouldn't be making. We actually wouldn't be saying. And I'll end on this. I'll leave you with this example. When I got married I recently got married, April, I should know. Okay, coming up on 2 years this April. You know, I was in such a different place in my life, and it wasn't a promise I made myself that I was never going to get married again. I just didn't have a sense that I would get married again and didn't really need that. When Brian and I decided that we just wanted to, we had a lot of reasons that we wanted to. I won't go into those right now, but I'll tell you what the difference was. What we didn't say to each other, he and I had a lot of deep conversations around this. What we didn't say to each other that was different from when I'd been married before and when he'd been married before, we didn't say things like, till death do us part. And I'm not even talking in the ceremony right now. I'm talking, it was way more important, the personal conversations we were having. We didn't say things like, I promise you I will never leave you. I commit to you that we will never, never, never get a divorce or end this marriage. I promise you that. We didn't say those things to each other. In fact, we talked a lot about it and said how those things didn't even feel right for this kind of relationship that we were in. And we made these promises to ourselves that we shared with each other, and commitments to one another and agreements to one another that actually were all about personal promises we were making to ourselves. So around our long-term relationship and the marriage, we were saying things to each other like, here's what I'm promising myself, that I will continue to wake up every day and be a woman or a man of integrity, that I will show up as my very best self with you every single day, that I will dig deep, that I will be a person of my word, that I will be a person of integrity, that I will be authentic and be vulnerable with you, even when it feels scary or regardless of the perceived consequences. Those were the kinds of personal promises we were making to ourselves and the agreements and commitments that we were sharing with each other. They actually didn't have anything to do with kind of traditional marriage vows or anything like that. And it has really kept us on our toes. It's held our feet to the fire around having a really mature, conscious, vulnerable, deep, beautiful relationship with each other. It's kept us doing our personal work, and that's the commitment that we made. It was one we made to ourselves. And so that's what I leave you with here today. Take your journal. You know, spend some time as we've got winter solstice tomorrow, endings, beautiful endings, going into kind of the darkness, hibernating, listening to what's going on and what we're ready to let go of, and bringing in the light to the things that we want to bring light to, that we want to move forward with in the new year. This is a perfect timing to look at what agreements, commitments, or personal promises have you made to yourself or others that you want to really look and review and revisit and reconsider. And the first question always is, have I done my own personal work around this before I just break the commitment, end the agreement, change the personal promise? Have I done my own personal work? And then when I look at these lists of agreements, am I moving into the new year saying, yes, I'm making a clear choice to continue to honor this agreement. I'm making a clear choice to continue to honor this commitment. And if you are, Get fully in, 100%. If you're in a marriage or a long-term relationship, no 1 foot out, 1 foot in. If you're choosing to honor that commitment, get in. 100% get in. Or otherwise, give me a call. Let's do some work together if you're trying to decide whether to get out. Okay, that's where we're at here. Look and make some clear, conscious decisions. And if you know it's time to end some of these commitments or agreements or personal promises, you do it with integrity. You do it being clear, speaking authentically, leading with kindness, no blame, personal ownership, and you say clearly, I am choosing to break this agreement. I am choosing to break this commitment. You don't blame somebody else and go, because of you, I got no other choice. You are a person of integrity all the way through, even if you are creating an ending in your life. All right? God, I hope this has been helpful. Please, as always, please pass this replay on to anyone who would benefit this. Post it on your own Facebook pages. Send it to somebody who has been saying they're struggling with this. Please get the word out. People have a really hard time holding to agreements and commitments and personal promises that are breaking their heart that they shouldn't be honoring anymore. Will you do that for me, please? All right. Peace and blessings to all of you, sending you great love. I take vacation next week between Christmas and the New Year's. I may or may not jump on and do a live stream, a spontaneous one. I may do a lot, I may do none. So either way, I will see you in the new year. Love to you all. Bye.